Welcome back. It is 5:07, and David Heurtel is standing by. Our feature brought to you by Guaranteed Industries for high-efficiency Lennox furnaces and heat pumps. Call Guaranteed 514-342-3400 or online guaranteedindustries.com since 1957. David, I'm going to start with, I guess, this kind of trending, I guess, in a sense. So Justin Trudeau was on the show Friday afternoon. I want to play back what I asked, and then I have you weigh in, because this is the comment, I guess, that has upset a lot of people here. When I say a lot, I mean people within the CAQ. So here you go. This is from Friday's interview with Justin Trudeau. I have to ask the question, though, for people about to vote here in this by-election. So I'm wondering what you tell Montreal's Anglophone population, and I bring this up because I get these calls all the time whenever we talk about this, who feel the federal Liberals have let them down.
Well, first of all, I understand that feeling, because people are feeling, well, first of all, they see a government in Quebec City, the Legault government, that has decided that the best way to protect French, which is something that I agree with, yes, we need to protect French, but Legault's decided the best way to protect French is to attack the English Canadians. And that doesn't make any sense. We see the most egregious example of it lately with the switch in hospitals. We also see it in his attacks on our alma mater at McGill, and his attacks on bishops and Concordia. But the idea that someone's going into a hospital for a test or something, anxious, they might have cancer, anxious, they might be sick, and is going to have to be worried about whether or not they can get treated in English because their French isn't that strong, that's just wrong.
Okay, that's just wrong. And the Premier, Simon Jolin Barrette, I've been reading a bunch of posts today calling him out for this. What's your take on that, David?
Well, my take is finally. I mean, it took 6 years of a Legault government before Justin Trudeau finally woke up. And I guess that things are looking very, very, very tight in La Salle Aymar Verdun today. And Justin Trudeau understands that his political survival in Quebec is now tied to the support of the English-speaking community. He can't play this high-wire act of not trying to offend too much certain francophones by fear of, and that's what he's been trying to do the last two minority governments that he won in Quebec. And so I think good on him for calling out the Legault government finally with you on Friday and calling a spade a spade. And finally, maybe we'll see more of that in the weeks, months, and maybe the year to come until the next federal election. And I think it's a winning position because a lot of francophones, Aaron, are sick and tired of this. You know, we'll talk about Jean-François Roberge. We talked about it with the listeners during the call-in segments today. This ad campaign. You know what the problem with French is right now? The true, real, biggest threat to the French language in Quebec right now is the fact that young francophones are failing French in record numbers. The June exams prove it. And so this misdirection that Legault's trying to do, and he keeps going back to what he feels he needs to do to try to stay alive and stave off Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon and the Parti Québécois, which is talking about language and blaming it on the Anglos and the institutions. I mean, it's ludicrous. The reason being, look, there was a National Assembly resolution last week saying you can't touch healthcare to Anglophones. You just can't touch that, and was unanimously voted. And also the directive that caused the whole controversy to begin with is under review, regardless of what François Legault, Jean-François Roberge, Simon Jolin Barrette says. They're trying to find a way to back off that ridiculous directive in the healthcare system, trying to find a way to thread a needle where they can actually respect not only the Constitution, the Healthcare Act, but actually Quebec's healthcare system and give full services and healthcare to the Anglophone community in English without any threat, without any certificate, and still not get rocks thrown at him by Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon. And also, Francophone Quebecers are getting sick and tired, and you're seeing it poll after poll after poll. I mean, language doesn't make the top 10 in the most important issues for Quebecers. And so this is diversionary tactics. But on the other side, I mean, is it too little too late? And what it shows for Justin Trudeau is that on a day like today, when a lot of listeners say, the English-speaking community doesn't have power, well, today it does. In Verdun, if the English-speaking community does come out strongly for Justin Trudeau, it'll make the difference because the Francophone vote is pretty much going to split evenly between the Bloc and the NDP. And so if the Liberals squeak out a win, it's going to be because of the English-speaking community. So this is a lot of diversionary tactics, and Blanchette and Legault and Jeanne Barrec are going to play the old tropes, but at the same time, there's no leg to stand on when it comes to basic fundamental rights of all Quebecers and all Canadians, which includes the English-speaking community. You got to stop scapegoating the English-speaking community, and people beyond the community are seeing it.
To your point, David, and I was going to say before you brought it up, this too little too late idea, right? If he took until he was on the show last week to actually come out and say something, and that's great. Yeah. But let's say the Liberals lose in Amar de La Salle Verdun tonight. Justin Trudeau, because I kind of asked the question as well, he said, I'm not going anywhere. Do you believe that to be the case?
I do. I believe that Justin Trudeau is in it for the long haul. I do not believe that Pierre Poilievre's censure motion is going to succeed whenever it's tabled during this fall session. We don't know when. It could be 2 weeks. It could be 2 months. But I believe that both the NDP and the Bloc have nothing actually to gain by going into an election, and they're going to kind of throw the rock at each other, and they're going to be, they're going to feel secure in voting with Justin Trudeau because the other party is also going to be voting with Justin Trudeau. So I do think that Justin Trudeau is looking at a year, which means a few things. If he stays on this message, it is a newer message, and yes, I can understand a lot of people in the English-speaking community saying, maybe it's too little too late. I'm going to stay home today in La Salle, and I'm going to send a message. But at the same time, if Justin Trudeau starts bucking up, and you add to the economy picking up, the Fed in the U.S. this week, Aaron, it's expected, you've seen this, maybe it's going to be half a point rate cut. The optimism is really, really stepping up in the U.S. That means it's going to have a direct impact on the Canadian economy. The Bank of Canada is going to follow suit. So we don't know where we're going to be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months from now. But let's say you have a real turnaround with the economy, cost of living goes down. Same thing if the housing, there's some sort of, we're seeing, some sort of corner being turned. You have a really cool budget, or at least in December, maybe some mini budget that gives, targeted people, the middle class, concrete help now. And if Justin Trudeau gets back to the center because he's not saddled with the supply and confidence agreement of the NDP that took him way too far to the left, if he comes back to the center, talks kitchen table issues, the economy coming back, and he brings back that coalition in Quebec of sensible Francophone voters, urban Francophone voters, also the same thing with the English-speaking community and the cultural communities, and talks something that connects with them, maybe there's something there. But again, I think tonight is factored in. I think, Toronto St. Paul was going to be the death knell. I don't think today, if he loses in La Salle, in Mont Verdun, I don't think it's going to be anything more than, okay, whatever, it's the bad patch that we're continuing to go through. But then this fall and the spring, it's going to be the game plan to reconnect with Canadians, with Quebecers, and get back to basics.
We have to get out of here. I want to ask you one last thing. With respect to the by-election here tonight, so we talked about what might happen if the Liberals lose. We know there's another by-election, of course, out in a Winnipeg riding.
Yeah.
It seems to me, and I want to just bring Jagmeet Singh into this, because I think a lot of people are trying to understand what the hell the NDP is doing over the past couple of weeks. If they were to lose both in Winnipeg and here tonight, what does that mean for Jagmeet Singh?
Well, it means what the polls are saying. I mean, even if Craig Sauvé were to eke out an upset win tonight in La Salle de Mont Verdun, which is highly improbable from the numbers, but who knows? The polling numbers for a by-election are iffy at best. But I would say that the NDP is simply not tracking with Canadians, period. And by the way, It's kind of the same thing with Quebec Solidaire, and it's kind of the same thing with the left pretty much everywhere else in Canada. It's just not tracking. When you're talking about people struggling at the most basic level with the economy, what the far left or whatever the left is proposing just isn't connecting. And so, big spending programs that, and tax and spend, tax and spend, tax and spend, this is not tracking with ordinary Montrealers, ordinary Quebecers, and ordinary Canadians. And there's a real I think it's a more systemic structural problem with the left in general that is just not connecting. Look, the way the Labour Party in the UK was able to win this summer is, well, obviously the Conservatives had been in power a long time, there was fatigue, et cetera, but it came back to the center. And that's basically what I think Justin Trudeau is going to try to mimic here. Mm-hmm. He's going to look at what the Labour Party did in the UK, come back to the center, be more middle of the road, concrete kitchen table issues, and Jagmeet Singh is just not able to do that.
Interesting take. David, it's great hearing from you. Thank you so much.
Have a great week.